That frustration kept building, and after going home for a couple of weeks, Scottie Scheffler started researching different putters and eventually switched to a tailor-made spider mallet, ditching both the blade and the alignment line on his ball. Earlier in 2024, he was still gaming a traditional blade with a line. But standing over 5-footers had started to feel like internal debates rather than routine strokes. He admitted he's never been someone who thrives on lining everything up precisely and that for him, less is more, always preferring to see the natural path of the ball. Over time, the line became a distraction instead of a guide. So moving to the spider and removing the line simplified his visuals and freed him up mentally. From the outside, it looked like he simply got hot. But in reality, the change was about clearing mental clutter and quieting the subtle tension between what his eyes saw and what his brain was trying to force. He caught fire at the right time, the way elite athletes sometimes do. And as the putts started falling and the rankings climbed, the world assumed Scottie Scheffler had finally solved himself through discipline and grind. That story sounded clean and logical, but his own words reveal something quieter and more revealing. He didn't add a secret move or unlock new talent. He subtracted. After weeks of mounting frustration, he went home, took time off, researched options, switched from a traditional blade to a spider mallet, and removed the alignment line from his ball, freeing up his visuals and his mind. Most pros would never openly admit that less structure, not more mechanics, changed everything. But in his case, what he stopped doing mattered more than any extra range session ever could. To really understand it, you have to picture the earlier version blade putter. Superstroke style grip, alignment line carefully set textbook on paper and coach approved, yet subtly cluttered for a player whose instincts thrive on simplicity rather than precision overload. This is what the best players in the world are taught to do. But equipment isn't neutral. It quietly tells your brain what to focus on and what to fear. For Scottie Scheffler, the blade, putter, and the alignment line weren't causing collapse. They were creating friction, a subtle drag that felt normal because it lingered just below the surface. He was still competing and contending, which made the issue harder to spot. But the friction was structural, built into the routine itself, meaning no amount of grinding could solve it. You can't outwork a system that's subtly working against you. The alignment line is supposed to create certainty. Mark it, aim it, trust it. But for Scheffler, it became noise. He admitted he's never been someone who thrives on lining everything up precisely, and that less is more for him, preferring to see the natural path of the ball. Over time, the line became a distraction, and switching to a spider mallet simplified his visuals, cleared his mind, and removed the internal conflict that practice alone never could. After a stretch of quietly frustrating weeks, not disastrous, not headline-grabbing, but enough for him to feel the drag, Scottie Scheffler and his team did what many elite athletes resist. They stopped defending the process and started questioning it. They explored different putters, shapes, and philosophies, and the solution wasn't more instruction, it was subtraction. At the tour level, a putting routine is a sequence of narrowing mental states, each step designed to eliminate noise until only the path between face and hole remains. When a detail interrupts that narrowing, it doesn't explode the routine. It erodes at one tiny hesitation per putt, compounding over rounds and seasons. The line on the ball had stopped creating clarity and started adding a split-second reassessment. A flicker of doubt in the 4 or 5 seconds before the stroke. At that level, slightly less certainty is everything. And he admitted the line had become more of a distraction than a help. That word distraction matters because it means that every time Scottie Scheffler stood over a putt, part of his brain was locked onto the wrong focal point, not the hole, not speed, but a painted line. It was a tiny mental tax on every stroke. Then came the switch, a tailor-made spider mallet, wider and more stable at address, and no alignment line on the ball. The argument in his head disappeared. Before, the sequence was address, find the line, verify it, subtly question it, then pull the trigger. After, it became simpler look at the hole, look back, stroke it. The negotiation was gone. Putts inside 10 feet stopped feeling like coin flips and started looking decisive. When he said the spider cleared things up, he wasn't talking about mechanics. He was talking about noise. The mallet gave his eyes a shape they could accept without interrogation, and removing the line erased a ritual that had quietly drained him. Together, those choices did what no technical lesson could. They freed him. What he ultimately understood is that his brain isn't wired for hyper-precise alignment rituals. For him, less truly is more. Admitting that, especially as the world's top player. In a sport where conventional wisdom is rarely questioned, takes more self-awareness than any mechanical adjustment ever could. That level of self-knowledge in a sport saturated with coaches, data, and optimization culture is rarer than any trophy. And when Scottie Scheffler stopped trying to be the player who uses a line and accepted he didn't need one, he became far more dangerous. What followed wasn't louder confidence, it was silence. The putting became quieter, and in elite golf quiet is lethal because it means doubt has been removed from the routine. His eyes and brain finally agreed, and the interference was gone. The rankings reflected it, but the deeper shift was psychological. When he starts pouring in 8-footers on Sunday, entire fields feel it. Players who once believed they could hang around and wait for a missed putt suddenly realize that window has closed. Before the switch, there was a small but real opening to apply pressure and hope the putter wavered. After it, opponents weren't just trying to outplay him. They were chasing someone without a visible weakness, and that kind of pressure reshapes leaderboards long before the final hole. It's the pressure of losing your contingency plan, of realizing the one crack you were waiting on has quietly disappeared. When Scottie Scheffler climbs a Sunday leaderboard now, it isn't just about strokes. It's about whether you can sustain your own clarity against someone who has already secured his. The tension shifts from chasing numbers to chasing certainty. Before, there was a narrow window where opponents could hang around and trust his putter might blink. After the switch, that window sealed. He stopped handing tournaments back, and the field understood they weren't just facing elite ball striking. They were facing a version of him without the familiar flaw. This wasn't about adding greatness. That was already present through majors and ranking climbs. The spider mallet and the removal of the line simply stopped subtracting from him. In elite sport, that's the quiet truth. Success often comes not from piling on more, but from dismantling the subtle systems that drain you. By stripping away a ritual that housed doubt, he uncovered the calmest, clearest version of himself. And that version has been brutally difficult to beat.